I watched as my sister was about to be struck to death with a hammer, unable to hold back any longer. I drew out the long-hidden sword and struck fiercely at the 7th-ranked diamond hammer with just a hint of sword energy. I knocked my opponent to the ground. Everyone who saw this was shocked to realize that the weapon in my hand was the top-ranked weapon, the legendary Dragon Slayer sword. What they didn't know was that this sword wasn't just any weapon, it was the unique artifact my father spent over 70,000 days forging when I was only 7 years old. I watched as my father used his own blood to consecrate the sword, but this sword's dragon soul attracted countless martial artists. My father, wielding an 80-meter-long sword, directly repelled the assassins, buying us precious time to escape. But this heroic act caused him to lose too much blood. He could no longer control the sword as the enemies closed in. My father handed me the sword. He told my mother to take me and run and to protect the sword at all costs. Otherwise, it would bring chaos to the world. But despite all this, my father was eventually killed by the enemy, as the enemies closed in on us. My mother placed me on a boat and pushed me away, sacrificing her life to buy me time to escape the enemy. Furious that my mother had thwarted their plans, killed her on the spot, I watched as my parents were brutally murdered, helpless to stop at 20. Years passed. In the blink of an eye, I had grown stronger and spent years training in the mountains. Finally, learning to control my father's sword, I decided to return to the world and search for my family. My master didn't hesitate to agree to my request. At the same time, my grandfather made a wish in front of the family altar, hoping to see me again in his lifetime. But just as he finished speaking, a group of uninvited guests barged into our home. My disciples fought fiercely but were no match for them. Thankfully, my grandfather appeared in time and stopped the battle. The bully, with a cold sneer, demanded my grandfather hand over the mountain villa, even breaking the weapon my grandfather had forged to provoke him. But they weren't after the villa. What they wanted was the meteorite iron buried deep underground. Only those who controlled the meteorite iron could forge more powerful weapons. My grandfather firmly rejected the bully's demands, for the villa was the only place where I could reunite with my family. Meanwhile, had spent a fortune buying every weapon my father had forged, hoping to gather them all and bring them back home. But just then, a woman entered the room. I instantly recognized her as my long-lost sister. To hide my identity, I gave her all the weapons I had bought and made a request, hoping she would join me and return to the villa in gratitude for my help. My sister readily agreed. When we arrived at the villa, I saw my grandfather, his hair now white. A wave of complex emotions filled my heart. The bully, seeing us approach, began mocking us in an attempt to claim the villa quickly. He offered a condition. He said that if I could defeat his 3 subordinates, he would leave and never step foot in the villa again. But if I failed, the villa would become his before my grandfather could speak. I immediately agreed to the challenge. The bully ordered his subordinates to show their weapons. Everyone was stunned. The bully had not only brought the 10th-ranked sword, but also the 7th-ranked diamond hammer. The bully arrogantly declared that if my sister could defeat him, he would leave without a fight, without hesitation. My sister accepted the challenge. In the first round, she drew my father's forged longsword, while the bully raised his 10th-ranked sword. The two immediately clashed in a fierce battle, to everyone's surprise.